about 5 years ago, we asked Charlie Munger, we were sitting right there, what he thought of Bitcoin, and he said rat poison.
Yeah.
Back then it was about $100+ per Bitcoin. Today it's 9,000. Is it still rat poison?
Well, probably rat poison squared.
Oh, and Hezbollah? How did they come about? That's when Israel invaded Lebanon and they formed to throw Israel out. So let's put these things into perspective. We're going down a very dangerous road here. Not only will the markets crash and oil prices rise, not only will gold skyrocket, but this could be the greatest humanitarian crisis since World War II if it continues to escalate. This isn't going after Iraq or Syria or Libya. This is big. North Korea. And where's that going? And all the data coming out, by the way, from South Korea is that, in fact, they are pointing at Trump as pushing this forward by the actions that he took earlier. I mean, it did seem a bit extreme, but apparently it worked. And it's also, let's not forget, too, that China's playing a very big role in this. And so, too, is Russia. They're both on the border of North Korea. And their influence also is very instrumental in this. So peace is the way to go. There's no profit in war. That's the big lie. The only people that profits are the military-industrial complex, as General Dwight D. Eisenhower, five-star general, supreme commander of the Allied forces and two-term president, said in his farewell address in January 1961, that the military-industrial complex was robbing the nation of the genius of the scientists, the sweat of the laborers, and the future of the children. So the people say, oh, there's profit in war. That's nonsense. There's only destruction in war. There's growth in profit and peace. So going back to what Alex was saying about the deal with North Korea, we have our new guy over there, Bolton, and he was on the TV yesterday, and he said, a question was that, is it a requirement that Kim Jong-un agree to give away those weapons, meaning the nuclear weapons, before you give any kind of concession? And Bolton said, I think that's right. I think we're looking at Libya model of 2003 and 2004. Bop, bop, the alarm bells go off. That's why North Korea got nuclear weapons. Because they saw what the United States, how they backtracked on the agreement, just like, by the way, the United States government broke every treaty that it made with the Native Americans. They broke the treaty on that with Libya as well. So once he got rid of the nukes, bye-bye Gaddafi. And that's why North Korea got these weapons. They made it clear from the beginning. So if they're really assured peace, that's what they want. They're a tiny country. Their gross domestic product is about half the size of West Virginia's. They got a population about the size of Texas. They're a threat to nobody, but they are a threat to the whole region with their nuclear testing. And of course, last week there was a report that came out at the place where they did nuclear tests, the whole place collapsed under it, the laboratories and everything else. So China and Russia don't want these things going off around them. So they're all in it for this. And as you well know, people that have been listening to me and watching our Trends in the News broadcasts, whether they're on YouTube or subscribers to the Trends Journal, I kept saying from the beginning, North Korea is not a problem. If the United States attacks North Korea, say goodbye to South Korea. Kiss it goodbye. If DMZ is a couple of miles away from Seoul, South Korea, with a metropolitan population of about 26 million people. So if you bomb North Korea, poof, say goodbye to South Korea and kiss Japan goodbye. So we never saw anything happening there in terms of militarily. We have been saying for over a year, the flashpoint is Iran. And I mentioned to what our Defense Secretary Mattis said when I was on with Alex before. Here's some more information I want to read to you. This is from Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper, yesterday, excuse me, 2 days ago. This is the Defense Secretary of Israel, Lieberman. Israel has three problems: Iran, Iran, and Iran. Iran is trying to destabilize the whole region, not only in Israel. Look at what's happening in Yemen, Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. Iran supports and creates proxies around Israel. Hamas and Islamic Jihad would not survive 1 week without Iranian support. Well, when you go to the Islamic Jihad, you could thank Saudi Arabia for that one. And the United States for supporting them in the overthrow of Gaddafi in Libya, and then them going into Syria. Again, a war began by Saudi Arabia. Yemen, Lieberman's talking about? Look what the Saudis are doing to Yemen with the help of the United States, supplying them the weapons, intelligence, and air refueling. There's a humanitarian crisis that the World Health Organization says is the worst in the world going on there now. So why point fingers at Iran? Oh, and Hezbollah? How did they come about? That's when Israel invaded Lebanon and they formed to throw Israel out. So let's put these things into perspective. We're going down a very dangerous road here. Not only will the markets crash and oil prices rise, not only will gold skyrocket, but this could be the greatest humanitarian crisis since World War II if it continues to escalate. This isn't going after Iraq or Syria or Libya. This is big. And I don't want to hear that bomb drop. Be back in a couple of minutes. Thanks for tuning in. The economy isn't good. That's why they're keeping interest rates at negative interest rates into next year and keeping their phony bond buying scheme going. They're buying corporate bonds. These aren't governments. It's fascism, the merger of state and corporate governments. They're keeping the big guys afloat, keeping the equity markets going by juicing them with cheap dough. Heating up of the war in the Middle East. And again, this is from last week, that having met with Israeli counterpart, Defense Minister Avigdor Lieberman, U.S. Secretary of Defense James Mattis warns he sees an Israeli war with Iran as, quote, very likely. He cited Iran's presence in Syria as the likely cause of the fight. So, Mattis added, we hope Iran would pull back rather than risk Israeli attacks. Pompeo says Trump unlikely to stay in Iran deal. And we keep going here. This is from Haaretz, the Israeli newspaper. This is quoting our new Secretary of State, Pompeo. He said that U.S. stands with Israel against Iran. We remain deeply concerned about Iran's dangerous escalation of threats toward Israel and the region. So what's the region? Well, Syria. And Saudi Arabia and the United States want Iran out. They want all the Middle East. End of story. This is this guy, again, the Defense Secretary of Israel, Lieberman. Again, to repeat it, he said we have three problems: Iran, Iran, and Iran. And going on here, some more quotes. Pompeo saying the United States is deeply concerned about Iran's dangerous escalation of threats to Israel and the region, and Iran's ambition to dominate the Middle East. How dare they try to dominate the Middle East when the United States and the Allies are? And those French, they can't get over that trip either, man. Back into colonization times. Matter of fact, word's out, they're sending troops into Syria, and they're already there. And what else do we have here? Trump, Netanyahu speak on phone to discuss Middle East tensions. And it keeps going on and on about Iran's regime destabilizing activities, and that is a quote. Israel on high alert prepares for possible Iranian retaliation. This is a few weeks ago, after strike on Syrian base. So they struck a Syrian base, killed about 8 people, and now they're looking for retaliation. Who wouldn't? So thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, we got a lot more to go here, but just to remind you that what keeps InfoWars going to some extent are the wonderful products that they have available. And one of my private products is right here. You know, I don't know who said it, but I actually do, Mr. Boogie. He said, you got to boogie before the lights go out because tomorrow is iffy. And you can see by this news, man, whoof, iffy's putting it light. So I like to boogie because I write about and read about all the ugly stuff going on. So I want to keep my vitality, full male strength going. I hope Me Too doesn't try to stop this from happening, but I love male vitality. It keeps me vital, active, and really going. And they have an incredible special offer on Super Male Vitality for 50% off at InfoWarsStores.com. So I'm going to have to order me some more as well because I believe in the products that InfoWars is selling. And to help you, again, to support this broadcast and get the best all-natural products, they're dropping Super Male Vitality by 50% at InfoWarsStores.com. That's right, InfoWarsStores.com. Super Male Vitality has received thousands of 5-star reviews from listeners who've been blown away by their effects, and I'm one of those listeners. That keeps me loose and going. So, Male Vitality, again, put your money where your mind is. So going back to Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the United States with this war, it's going to be, could be the war to end all wars. This could start a World War III. And Alex mentioned about Iran going off the dollar. It's not going to do anything. It doesn't make much of a difference. Even all this talk about the petro-yuan. Of course, we had the petrodollar. That was a deal that was made by Kissinger. and under the Nixon administration. We'll protect the Saudi gang, but here's the deal. You got to pay us back. All the oil that you sell in OPEC, it got to be priced in dollars, capisce? That was the deal, to protect the gang. That's all this is over there. It's a gang. Again, they invented this group in 1934, named the country after the mob family, the Saudis. The United States protected them. That was the deal. So now we have to put this into perspective. The reserve currencies being used, the United States represents over about 60%, 63%. Then the euro. Now the euro value is going down. Why? Because the economy isn't good. That's why they're keeping interest rates at negative interest rates into next year and keeping their phony bond buying scheme going. They're buying corporate bonds. These aren't governments. It's fascism, the merger of state and corporate governments. They're keeping the big guys afloat, keeping the equity markets going by juicing them with cheap dough. Now, let's keep going back to Iran pulling away from the dollar, Russia's selling and buying its oil in the currencies, China with the petro-yuan. You could buy, we'll buy your oil, we'll pay you back in yuan, but you can cash it into gold. Is that going to have an effect? Yes. An immediate one? No. Longer term? Yes. And if the United States, Israel, and Iran go to war, excuse me, the United States, Israel, and Saudi Arabia go to war against Iran, watch the dollar dive. Watch that petro-yuan rise. And again, gold prices, whew, they'll break into new territory, into the $2,000 range. Equity markets overvalued, overleveraged. By the way, the news, Apple stock just went up. You know why? More stock buybacks. That's where the dough is going from the tax repatriation. So it's not being built on strength. Apple just came in number 6 on smartphone sales in China. Dove from number